Bummer. Whoever didn't come to class missed that whole first 15 minutes. Okay, so I got another piece here. Okay, so that's just the, you know, the other part of this. I didn't cut it the way I wanted to cut it, actually. Well, okay, so in this instance, I'm just going to have this cut running along here. So I'm going to do the same thing, normal's base, and I'll get another shell here, right? So now I have two shells, okay, W, okay, that encompass the whole arm, right? So now I can say, okay, well, which two do I, or, you know, which edge do I want to sew together? I can just select these edges, okay? And then remember down here we had cut and sew, right? And then stitch together. We'll move the shells so that they, you know, reorient the shells so that they sew together properly, right? So I hit that, boom. So now I have this stitched together, and I have, see that? So I have one seam that runs along here and a nice clean UV that runs along the back, okay? That runs, and then the seam's right here. I meant to put it on the bottom, but and I'll do that on the other arm, but I think you get the idea. So the first thing you'll notice here is that, you know, look at all this stretching and everything, okay? So that's because if I come back over here and, no, there we go. First of all, you see what we end up here. We have, like, you know, pieces going over the UVs going over the top of each other so that they're sharing. So if I come here, the real mess is down here at the wrist, right? Because you know, the projection just went through the object, and you know, it's, I mean, like I said, you can actually see how it's wrapping around there. So the best tool to help you out with this, which is really great, is Unfold. So this will do exactly as you might imagine. It will take any, you know, take whatever your selection is and unfold it for you, and try to sort of just literally, you know, get each polygon to use about as much as the map as it should, you know, depending on how big the polygon is out in the scene, right? So I think you'll see what happens here. So I'm going to come over here. So like I said, you can see I got smush polygons here, which are going to stretch a little part of the map, and then this part is going to use up way too much and everything. So when I hit unfold, boom, figured it all out, okay? So when I come back over here to my viewport, see that? Nice squares, you know, this is what you're aiming for, you know, nice squares all over the object. You know, and there might be a little smaller here or there, but on the whole, we've got no overlapping, we've got no, you know, yeah, we've got no overlapping, we've got no, you know, weird stretching that you might see or anything like that, okay? So, you know, that's great. That'd work really nice for this, okay? So largely you're just repeating this process with just a decent strategy, and you know, some of these, you know, some of these are a good example, you know. So this person is doing the front of the torso separately than the back, whereas this other one, and you see this more often, is see what they've got going on here. So this is the torso. So here's your neck, wraps around, but it meets here. So there's the only seams are at the shoulders, just like a shirt once again, and the sides, right? So to do a similar kind of situation, all we'd have to do is we're gonna go back into face mode, and I'm gonna hide the seam actually sort of more towards the back of this, okay? So I'll go to here, wrap it around the neck. Oops. I'm gonna come down a bit. Okay, so boom, boom. Then wrap it around the neck. Up to here. Okay. And let's see, I'll try and figure out where this one is. Let's say right here. And then we'll come up to where it meets that. Now, you know, you think, okay, well, why wouldn't you use this tool to unwrap, you know, everything, right? Well, the thing is that, you know, once again, like this is, you know, it's wrapping around the contours of this object really nicely. But if I went to apply like a, you know, any kind of texture that is, you know, like I said, like flat, like I made this little simple, you know, like if I had to apply, sorry, you know, this logo thing here, right? If I have this map that's all over the place, you know, this isn't going to apply to this unless I'm doing an absolute flat planar map, okay? So, you know, that's why that doesn't work for any, you know, for those situations. You know, this doesn't work for every situation is what I mean. So, okay, so we grab all this, okay, and I'm gonna just keep grabbing there to there, oops, there to there. And sadly, you know, it's definitely a tedious process, but you know, oops, I'm error prone. But you know, when it goes right, you can do just about anything you want with the model. Okay, so I got a decent border, and I'm gonna grab the rest of those. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Get every last little bit. So, you know, like I said, you want to think in terms of, you know, like I said, close and things like that, because you want to be able to sort of, you know, like you can't just say that, you know, apply that to the whole object and unwrap it, because you have to give it some guidance and say, well, you know, this front place or this front piece that we're pulling off right here, it's, you know, kind of a flat plane, right? You know, so you have to sort of think in the terms of planes and cylinders. Like I applied you know, essentially, you know, what we did is apply cylindrical mapping around this arm. Okay, you know, we didn't, you know, whereas here we're essentially doing a plane along the front, and then we'll wrap it around the back. So I got everything normal based, and then oops, I accidentally selected around here. So you know, this isn't going to work because it's going to give me stuff that I, oops, don't want. Okay. Okay. There. Normal based. Boom. So, okay. So I essentially have a flat projection of this chest area, right? And you can see it's already working, but same thing. I've got, you know, where it's projecting, it essentially projected straight here towards this selection of faces, right? So that means that, you know, the way that, see how this wraps around here, you see how this part of the checkerboard is getting stretched and, you know, and reprojected around the back, and it doesn't look right. So we go to UV shell, we come down here to unfold, and it'll figure that out for you, and it'll essentially flatten it out and give you a lot of what you're seeing, you know, in here, and you know, because these are fairly decent examples of how you do that stuff. So, you know, you're getting the same kind of thing there. And the way these seams are laid out, you know, it's all up to you and what works the best. But you know, there are some sort of tried and true methods that work pretty good. So, okay, so we'll take that shell, we'll move them away from each other. Okay. So I'm not going to do like the other arm or anything like that. But I will do the back here. Okay, boom. And over to here. Out to there. And then down to here. There to there. And, you know, when you do lay this stuff out, you know, if you find ways to attach things, you know, stitch edges together, you know, after the fact, like this is just sort of a start. There's nothing saying you can't say, well, you know, there's no reason that, you know, like what I've done here is I've made sort of a shirt scenario, right? Well, that's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be that way. There's nothing stopping you from, you know, making the map go all the way down, you know, and sort of break things apart. So, you know, if I came back and said, you know, well, why am I doing that? There's nothing, damn it, there's nothing stopping me from sewing that together, you know, and just making another piece out of it. So, you know, you can make a lot of pieces, but you know, the more continuous your maps are, the easier they are to paint, and you know, and also the easier they are the more successful they are, I guess you could say, when you take them into like a 3D painting program or something like that, because the 3D painting programs handle the ability to paint over the top of seams, so like in Mudbox or something like that, I could paint here and it would put paint both on this side of the map, which is like at this side of the torso, and the map I'm about to, or the piece of the UV that I'm going to also make, right? So it handles that all, for you. But the more seams there are like that, the more chance there is for weirdness when you do go to render it. Okay, so okay, and there we go. Okay, so that's selection for that. Hit F on my keyboard to make sure I didn't pick anybody else up. Normal base, boom, and unfold. There we go. So like I said, you see two different methodologies here, in that they're sewing because there's no reason to not sew one edge together, whereas this person just felt that there was no need to do that, because and like I said, it's up to you. I don't think any way is necessarily better than the other. So actually, I think we'll just do that so now that, oops, there we go. So now that I've got both of those, okay, all I have to do is select one of the edges, okay, there, actually, so I got lucky, and this is where they go together. Stitch it together, and it's going to pop together, and we essentially have the same concept, okay? Now, this could be potentially a reason you don't want to do this, is that, this is now a big piece that it's got some sort of empty areas, and it bends in a weird direction, which you actually should be able to fix. Whereas, they've got it kind of flat here and everything. So you can, there's nothing stopping you from trying to unfold this again, and it'll take the new faces into account. So see what it did here? It actually made it sort of even a little more unruly. So I'm just going to put that back. Okay. So now you'll see is that, this is this area right here. So if I select these faces, okay, now I have no seam right here, and I'm hiding one seam in this, over here, okay. And like I said, you can tell it basically looks like a shirt, it's essentially what you're trying to do there, okay. Down here, you could almost do the same thing, in that you could grab these areas. You could treat the crotch and the sort of undies area separate, or you could. It all depends on what what you're trying to do, but you could tear that off and you do the legs separately, which I think is what I'll do here. So. Depends on how much you're gonna sort of get a look at that butt, or if it's gonna be underneath something else or whatever, and another important thing is that if all you need to worry about is the parts of the skin that are showing, obviously you wouldn't be doing this. So we're doing this just as sort of an example, but there's, like I said, if all you were seeing was the head and everything like that, you wouldn't go through and UV every last little bit of it, but that's what we're doing here. I'm getting bad selection chunks. Okay. Shit. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Oh, for God's sakes. Okay. Normal based, and then unfold. So that's the start of my sort of underwear area. Sorry about that. Somebody's got to UV this stuff. Okay. Boom. 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 Oops. Okay. Okay. Normal based, unfold, There we go. So I'm going to try and hide the seam in the same area so that the seam only runs down one side. So I'm going to take these guys and move them over. So I'll figure out which seam was which here by just grabbing the edges. Oh wait, oh, I cut it up the wrong way. Well, screw it. I'm just going to sew it together then and forget about it, and I'll just keep them separate. Stitch together. There we go. So essentially, this is the underwear area. So the other part that you have to look for when you're doing this is that it's that when it makes these things, when it makes these projections. Okay, it's going to take up the entire. It's going to take up the entire map, right? So you have to be careful in that what you're trying to do here is you're trying to get all these checkerboards to be roughly the same size, usually, okay? Now, if you have a face or whatever, you may, and you need to be able to do good animation with the face, you may allow the face to take up more space in the map, and that's exactly what they've done here, right? So they put a lot of detail in the hands, okay amount in the torso, but they used a lot for the face because they must be able, they want to be able to get in here and, like see, get into the face close for some kind of animation and not have the textures look, crappy, right? So like I said, you see here is that, see how fine the checkerboard is on this this piece of the shell. It's because it's taking up so much of the map, right? So I want to scale that down so that it's, the easiest way to do it is to sort of put it together with the other pieces. So, ooh, I have a hole here for some reason. Oh crap. Okay, I'll fix that later. So anyway, so I've scaled these pieces to be roughly, roughly the same size, and I'm gonna come in and get my arms, or the one arm that I did do. And so if you look at it and you just kind of say, well, they're about the same, that it's close enough, like, if you have, and you'll see what it looks like if I take my torso and I shrink it down like this, see how big my checkerboards are, and you see how little part of the map, and this is the map area right here, this guy is using, it's using just a little piece, okay? And you don't want that, obviously. Oh, there's that little square. You little bastard. Okay. So, as you're laying these things out, all you have to do is keep them roughly within the same scale to each other, right? Because they're eventually going to get all scaled down to get inside that map, okay? So I've got that, I've got my arm, and it's always nice to just sort of place them where they should be. Just for your own usage, right? So the arm, this is that middle arm. So, this is the arm that connects right here versus this other side. Okay. So another good or potentially good practice for this kind of stuff is, if you have a symmetrical character, there's nothing stopping you from UVing one side of it and then mirroring it over, and like if this guy was symmetrical, I could cut this in half and I would get the arm on the other side without having to go in and actually do it, right? So that's something else to keep in mind, is that you can, if it's symmetrical, or at least if your base here is symmetrical, okay? All right, so the head is a different scenario in that, there's a lot going on, and there's some areas that are going to be, well, first of all, tricky or less important than each other, or than other parts, right? So if I come into the mouth, usually what you'll see in a 3D model of a character like this is essentially like a pouch area. See this? So I'm inside the head, and let me get into face mode here. Okay. Oops. There we go. I think you can see that, right? So that means when this character opens its mouth, these are the gums, okay? This is maybe that little thing at the back of the throat. They've even modeled a little bit of the throat, like somebody did a pretty nice job here. There we go. Okay, so here's your esophagus and all that good stuff. They even put a tongue in there. That's what you got here. Okay, so anyways, this stuff obviously, is something you want to cut off and, whoa. what did I do? These pieces aren't merged in here or something. Anyways, you want to cut this off so that you can paint this separately. So, you know, obviously, you know, it's hidden in there, and you need to be able to handle this, right? So the easiest way to really do this is to come in, and since I've got some seam problems here, I'm not sure it's going to work, but I'm gonna come in here, and I'm just gonna sort of slop in, because it's really hard to work in here. I mean, you can. So I'm gonna I select the back of the throat here, and I'm gonna do my shift and the period, and grow that selection until it goes out, 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 out. And then I'm gonna hit Control 1 on my keyboard, which is gonna hide everything but my selection. So what I'm left with is like the lips here and that thing that I was just telling you about. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is do just sort of a really simple map to, let's see, these get real tricky because, you know, it's like a pouch. So and you do want to be able to sort of paint things separately. So I think what I'll do is this. So this is the tongue, and there's not a great way to see this inside this thing. Okay, there we go. So that's inside the mouth. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand where we're at inside this model? It's kind of confusing, but okay. Oh yeah, right, exactly. So I'm gonna try and select that tongue so that I can map that separately. So what we'll do is, there we go. So I'm looking down the tongue, select some faces. Oops, just select here to there. Oop, here to there. And that one. And then grow the selection. Okay, select that out. And you know, this might, you know, lots of times you can just get away with coloring the inside of the map. That's the mouth, you know, pink, and be done with it. But we'll go through the pain of dealing with this just for the exercise. Okay, so boom, boom. Okay, so that's everything that, oh man, that's gonna comprise the tongue. Okay, you can actually see it inside there. All right, and I'm gonna normal that out. Okay, so what we're gonna get here is a bit of a problem, because, you know, this is a round object that, you know, we don't have a seam on. Okay, but it'll get me started, and see what I get here. So this is the tongue, right? So, and then if I unfold it, it's not too bad, but the best way to help this along is if I cut some of these edges so that it can unfold it a little bit better. So if I come in here and, so see how much of the map is being used for the back of the tongue versus, so here's the front of the tongue, and it's using tiny bits. That's or it's using a tiny bit of the map because we don't have a seam here that allows it to sort of spread out, right? So if I come in and I select edges, and when I'm selecting, if I zoom up, oof, gonna be hard to see. There it is. Okay, so that's the front of the tongue. If I say cut, so that cuts that. Now if I hit the UV shell and I hit unfold again, see how it unfolded it? Now I'm getting a bit more space out of my the front faces of the tongue. Okay, I could potentially cut it along the side. So you know, when you cut edges, that allows the unfolder to sort of see. So cut. So now I've created another seam there. Hit that shell, unfold. See, that just makes it sort of more. It just allows it to sort of flay it out a little bit easier. Okay. So now I've got the tongue part. Okay. I'm going to make that small. Obviously, it shouldn't be a ton of the map. So, you know, relatively, I want to make that. You know, I'm going to hide it in this middle section. Okay. And then let's see here. Oh, that's cool. Those parts. Okay. So and then I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to go too nuts with the rest of the inside of the face. So I'm going to take, basically going to just cut the lip area off and let that stay the rest of the face, right? So I'm going to select the faces that are the rest of the inside of the mouth and just call that gums essentially, or whatever. Okay, so let's see. Selecting this is going to be a real challenge. So I'm just going to tell you what, I think I'll go in here. And I'm just gonna select through the object like so. Remember, if you turn off camera-based selection, it'll select both sides here. Okay, grow my selection until I get about to the front of the mouth. And that worked okay. Got some extra faces there. So like I said, this one's tough because there's something wrong with these. You see these, for some reason there's still seams here. I don't know what, I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. Okay, so essentially, you know, like I said, what I'm doing here is trying to cut out this sort of pouchy area that's in the front of the mouth. Okay, we'll just grab all those. Okay, we'll come back to our UV toolkit, normal based, and I get a real mess here, but at least it's something and it's sort of cut off. Okay, so I can take this and move it off and then sort of deal with it later. Because if I hit unfold, I get this, okay, which is, you know, it's not horrible. Like if you look at this, we've got, you know, too much detail up and through here. See how small my checkerboard is, and then maybe not too much in there. So we'd have to try and sort of deal with that, you know, but I'm not going to right now. But you know, you could essentially cut out pieces and then unfold them as a separate thing. Yeah, for some reason some faces are off here. Okay. All right. So, doing the head, you know, you want to deal with the thing that you want to be able to get the most detail out of with the least amount of distortion, right? So, you're going to want to sort of tear off the front and make your, you know, obviously try and hide a seam, you know, either if this character would have hair, you want to hide it back here so that, you know, you could hide it through hair and then the neck, and then you wouldn't have to, and you'd be in good shape. Oh, I moved some stuff. Oh, bummer. When did I do that? Sorry, hold on 1 second. Oof, I messed this up. Sorry, hold on 1 second. So you remember, like I was saying the other day, is when you know these selections go both directions. If I select faces over here, it selects faces in the viewport. So when I wasn't looking, I must have shifted this or scale it or something. Oh man. Oof, man, I effed up pretty bad. Welcome to the humiliating world of UV mapping. Okay, so just ignore all of whatever I just did here. And you know, this is what happens when you isolate and hide things. You know, what happened there is, you know, since I had all this stuff hidden, you know, just because it's hidden doesn't mean I can't do stuff with it, right? So if I, you know, select the faces that make up the arm and I isolate them over here, but on the other side, I grab the torso and I move it, even though you don't see it. See, I can move it in the viewport. That's the danger of isolate mode. I think maybe I moved the head. Did I move the head? There we go. That's a little better. Something bad happened right here, though. There we go. That's not right. I think I might have scaled it. Did I scale it? Okay, who cares? So anyways, but like I said, if you ignore the massive mess up that just happened there, you know, so what we've done here is we've, you know, torn out the hidden, you know, mouth and esophagus and all, and the gums and all that stuff, and what we'd be left with is this front face. Okay, so depending on how much detail you need in your ears, you know, like here, they're keeping the ears in there. Some people prefer to take the ears off and map them separately. They're doing that here, or they're keeping them in there too. So that's what we'll do. So all I have to do is I'm going to come in, and like I said, you're just looking for a seam point that you can hide. So they're going pretty much all the way around, wrapping all the way around, and essentially one seam that goes up around the back of the head, just like a, you know, well, I don't know, like it goes back around the head. So okay, so to do that, all we'd have to do is just do half the face at a time and merge that middle seam, right? So I'll come down here, and remember I still had selection-wise, I had camera-based selection off right there, which allows me to select right down the line. I'll grab right there, grab right through the object, and make sure I got it all. Okay.
How did you do that selection, Andy?
Camera-based selection, when it's on, will only select what you can sort of see at that point, meaning it wouldn't grab the stuff that's behind it.
And that'll go straight through.
Exactly. So it's a way to know that you're shooting right through and grabbing the whole thing. Okay, so go like that. Okay. I'm just basically cleaning up my selection so I make sure I get all of half of it. Ooh. Okay. So, okay, so it's gonna get everything here, including the eyes and all that stuff. And actually, I think it may potentially remap the internal thing, the tongue and all that stuff, which we've isolated right there. But let's find out. So, okay, so normal based, boom. So I'm essentially getting a map that's right here. See all the stretching and all this nastiness. So I'm gonna move that over here for now. We'll do an unfold. Oof, yeah. Yeesh. So, oh, yeah. Wow. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna actually not unfold that just so that I don't lose my way. And I'm gonna do now I'm gonna come in and do the other side, okay? And then we'll deal with any of the distortion that's going on. So I'm gonna select like so. I missed some of it here too, so that's why you got to be careful and make sure you get everything. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Oh, got too much here. That's why you have to be very careful with your selections and make sure, because it will remap something if you, grab it on accident, and it'll basically take it over and put it in your map. So, it's always really good when you have a selection is press F on your keyboard and make sure, like if all of a sudden it was looking in the middle here, I must have, like if I select a face down there, see how it's looking in the middle? It's like, well, I must have did something wrong. Like your pivot point should be around the middle of your selection, and unless you've done something, like I said, unless you've done something wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the rest of these that I missed. I missed some of the stuff inside the nose. I'm gonna make it part of this shell, which is gonna complicate matters. Okay. Okay, so that should be the entire selection. Good. Normal base mapping, and then we'll get the other side of the head, okay? So we've got, part A and part B here. Okay, and like I said, you don't, as you see here, they don't have, they obviously don't have a seam running down the middle of the face here. You want to be able to paint that perfectly on there. You want to be able to, hide, like I said, the seam somewhere else. Right now we have two shells and a seam. So all you have to do is, it's probably easiest in the viewport here, okay, to say, let's see. I could probably start that seam above the hairline here, come down, see if I get a continuous line through here. Okay, nope. So this might be nice to turn that off for now. There we go. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna try and I'm gonna select. See the white? That's the seam, obviously. See how much of it I can grab. So this is what I'm gonna tell Maya to sew together for me. including inside the nose here. Yeesh. Tight quarters inside the nose. Come on. There we go. Okay. Okay. Okay, last one. No, that's not true. Start here. All the way down
Do we have to go in the mouth too?
Yeah, because it did remap it. I did do those out of order, so I mean I might come back here to. Oof. Dear God. See if it'll get it. Yeah, it's behaving. There we go. Good. That's why it's nice to be able to sort of use these interchangeably, because one might be showing it in a better fashion than the next, you know. So there we go. Whoa. This is all probably because of these weird polygons that got blown out here. Hopefully we can ignore those. You know, generally I'd try and fix those, but I don't know what, you know, I don't want everybody to have to sit here and watch me try and fix polygons. So, okay. I think that's most, oh, no. There we go. No. So we may get an odd result here, but, oh. No, we don't want this. This is going to try and sew a bunch of it together. Okay. Sorry, I got the neck piece here. There we go. Okay, so now we're just trying to sew. Actually, we don't want to sew either this together either, because we want to be able to have a seam there, right? We have a seam now, and we want to keep a seam. So, okay. Jerk. There we go. Okay. So all I've selected was the stuff that I want to now sew together, and you know, essentially healing the front of the face up. Okay, so all where it's white, it's going to stay a seam. Everywhere where it's orange, it's going to try and sew it together, and just hope for the best. Here we go. Ooh. Okay. Perfect. First try. Absolutely perfect. Okay. So this is at least something, you know, meaning it's sewed together, you know, even though this looks like a spider nest, you know, it's not so bad. If I hit unfold within reason, I started to get something. Okay. So I'm going to turn this sucker back on for the viewport. So you see what I got here. I have a there it goes. Okay, so I have a I have the seam right here where it matches up, comes in here. There's some distortion here because of the nose. You see what's going on right here. So here's my nostrils, and I missed one of the polygons there. So this is all the mouth stuff. Now, you know, one of the ways to fix this, and probably the better way, is, so I have tiny polygons in through here, meaning wasting a lot of the map, and big ass polygons on like the nose and things like that. Remember, the bigger the polygon, the less of the map that it's using. Okay, so in this instance, I think what I'm going to do is you come in, and remember, you know, this is just a start, right? So if I select, I find out where the mouth is. So this, like I said, this isn't going to behave because I've got sort of a problem here, but I should be able to cut some of this out of here. Okay, so this is all the stuff that makes up that inner tongue and all that stuff, right? So if I cut this, I've made a new shell, right, that I can move out of there, okay, and I can unfold it on its own and sort of start figuring it out. Oops, I got the lips along with that now too. So But generally you would cut inside there, right? So that you can move this away and let it have its own piece of the map, okay? And it also just allow you to figure that out. So you see if I come in the viewport, see that's all selected and it's now, like I said, it's all chopped out and everything. So if I select this and I do a unfold again, see now I get something that looks like a creepy ski mask or something, but at the very least, like I'm not, you know, wasting so much, you know, I'm not trying to make this part of the map, meaning inside the mouth, use just a teeny part of the map, okay? And of course, you know, there's nothing stopping you from coming in and, you know, like especially with an area like this that's very important. Actually, I'd turn on B. Oops. Soft selection. Okay, and then crank that down. Way down. Way down. So I should be able to just grab part of this map. For some reason I can't shrink my... Jeez. I can't shrink it small enough. That's weird. Well, usually, and this must just be a really small scaled model or something. You know, I'd be able to sort of handle this like, you know, like sort of like rubber sheeting, and then I could grab a whole bunch of it and sort of give it more polygons, right? So if I come over here, you know, you see what's going on with part of this area. Let's see. So, okay, that's this. So this is above that lip. You know, if I come in here and I want to make sure that I have lots of detail on the lip area, I can give these polygons more area, surface area. And I'll clean this up later when you go to, if you go to download it. I'll fix all that stuff. So, okay. So like I said, so you keep looking at it and, you know, and trying to figure out, you know, where there's waste and where there isn't waste, okay? Or where you need more detail, where you need less detail. Okay. And you can keep sort of running that unfold on this until it sort of makes more sense, okay? So if I come back to the object, or to the head, like I said, your nose, like if you look at the nose, there's not a lot going on. So here, you know, like I said, you can see how small these polygons are, right? So, oops. Hold on. Holy moly. What did I do? There it goes. Okay. So, okay, what I was trying to do is, so there's another tool or another view type, right, to help you sort of figure out what's not good and what is good. And that's right up here. You've got a couple of different view types, right? And one of them allows you to, what this is showing you is in red, it's saying that the map is stretched in relationship to the amount of sort of real estate that the polygon is taking up, and here in the blue it's sort of wasting, you know, it's getting more area than it should, okay? So this is sort of a guide, and that's, like I said, that's right here, and then what do they call it? They call it a distortion, okay? So the distortion is just a guide to help you, you know, like if you come in here, so this is the inside of the mouth, and notice how it's all red and everything, and it's just a mess, right? So this needs some care, you know, whereas like if you look in here at our arm, okay, and our torso, you know, this is all pretty good. There's a little bit of pink, but you know, it's not so bad. You know, you don't need to worry about it too much. It's like, it's only when it gets blue or, you know, a big cluster of pink that you get into a problem, right? So, you know, one of the things you can do is just start chopping areas out and isolating them and painting them separately. You know, like the pockets of the eyes are a good one. So if I try and grab the inside or the ring, there we go. So this is the pocket of the eye. Okay, I can cut that, take that shell, because, you know, say, you know, this is often just pink, so you don't need to worry about it too much. I'm in some freaky mode. Oh, tweak. There it goes. Boom. Okay, so what the hell? What did I do? Why is it not taking that inner face? That's weird. Somewhere along the line, I grabbed the wrong thing. Sorry about that. I do not know why it's only grabbing the outer part of the shell. What happens if I grab this one? Oh, it doesn't move at all. Great. Well, it should move. And like like I said, you could move it away, and then take that real estate that was used for that inner part of the eye, and just like either hand move these guys in there. What the hell? Hold on a second. I'm gonna restart it. Oops. Sorry, I'm gonna restart here. So you see, you just cut pieces off, map them, try and unfold them. If it doesn't work, keep cutting it apart. And if there's ways to sew it back together, you sew it back together. You just kind of keep chipping off pieces and putting them back together. Okay. 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 Let's not be a jerk about it this time. Okay. Oops. Object. There we go. Okay. So, the point was I was trying to grab a shell and move it away. What the shit, man? Let me try the other eye and see if this is specific to these areas. So I just grab this inner pocket here. Cut and sew. Cut. Grab a shell. Move it. Weird. What the fuck? Oh well. Okay. So anyway, so depending on let me see if the ear will behave the same way. So I'm gonna try cutting off the ear, because you see the same problem going on here, in that we've got very stretched polygons out here on our ear, and you can see, because it's all happening all in through here. So if we grab our edges, okay. Oop. Like I always like to cut the ears off. It just makes it easier to detail them. Let me turn the damn thing off. There we go. Okay. Yeesh. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. I said that UV mapping is tedious. Watching it's got to be worse than doing it. Okay. So now I'm just trying to tear some of these pieces off. Just keep following the seam. Oof. Jesus. Come on. Oof. Come on. Sometimes just being able to select, look at that, it wants to select any one but that one. Oh, for gosh sakes. I can't zoom. Okay. So I'm going to try the other method and just try and grow a selection out to get a hold of the ear. It's close enough. All right. I'm just getting rid of the ones I don't want. Okay. Oops, I think I selected something on the other side. Okay. No, just the ear. Okay, close enough. Okay, so like I said, so, you know, I'm gonna tear this piece off separately too, just to sort of get more real estate. Like if I had a hole here, I could, you know, spread the ear out and, you know, do more with it. Okay, so let's see here. So great, normal based. So I tore it off. See, now I've got a hole there, which it will use. And then, wow, what the hell is going on here? Oh, so hopefully you won't run into whatever the heck I've done to this piece. I've turned something on and I'm not entirely sure what it is. So you can unfold, you know, you should be able to unfold these things separately. And then if I come in here and I go back to the head area, right, and I do an unfold, it'll, you know, it'll take up more of that area, right? It'll come in here and something is freaking messed up. Well, at any rate, this area should get smaller, and all these squished up polygons would spread out, okay, and you would get you know, you would use this area for the head, and then have your ears off somewhere else separate, where you can sort of work on them separately in your map. Okay. So okay, so I'm not going to go, like I said, I'm not going to go through the rest of these. The rest of the pieces, because it's a lot of the, you know, I'm repeating would be repeating the same thing, and that, you know, I would, you know, you tear that off, you'd go down the, you know, try and you map the front of the leg, the back of the leg, just like the arm, but then, you know, marry a seam along the middle, you know, down here, so that you don't have a seam. The seam runs down the inside of the leg. Okay, you tear the hands in half and essentially just splay those out, which you can see some of these done here. See what they did? They basically just used, like I said, they splayed this out, and then it's a wrap around the pinky essentially, right? So you just map the front, or map the top, map the bottom, seal that, you know, sew that together with the stitch together, and then just, you know, make sure you splay all that stuff out. Okay. So, I'm not sure how the hell I'm going to do this part. Let me try and get this model fresh. I hope I have another one. No. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out, because I'm not sure the next step is going to work. If I can't move my shells, then I've got a bit of a problem here. Extra borders on. Jesus. I've got a real mess here. Sorry, everybody. Just give me a minute here. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I stumbled upon something, probably a hotkey, and I can't figure out what the heck it is. Tell you what, if everybody wants to take 10 minutes break, I'm going to try and figure out what this is, so you don't have to sit and watch me do this. Sorry about that. What? Shit, what's going on here? Fuck me. What the?
Then gets murdered by his wife.
And she's like, oh, everybody knows me, they come on, and she just doesn't want to go to conversation. Are you serious? Yeah. Have fun. Yeah. Create another alien baby.
No.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
That's what keepers do.
I played people out Our rock cello. Rock only Wednesday was like old stop motion. It's actually pretty quick. Yeah. I also don't really honestly, that's good.
Whoa. There we go.
It's because you got the arm of the two in you.
This is entertaining.
Oh yeah, that's no. What? I didn't want to.
There you go. Rat bastard.
Yeah.
No, for like the So, because the test like the first like 20 minutes. It's like college.
Sheets are awesome.
There we go. Okay.
But
No, I mean like the game. I mean, cause this one you get to draw like. Oh no, I lost it. Oh really? Well, no, I mean, no, I got this for. This was for 3D and for. Yeah. This one works with and I also realized that I could help every time there's something I realize that I'm missing. I bought it a long time ago. And then I realized that I needed a keyboard so I could take pictures and all that stuff. Yeah, I bought it. And then yesterday, yeah, it was. Yeah, I had it. I already had it. And then I realized that I wanted to upgrade the microphone. Oh, yeah, shit. A what? Yeah. Also, it's like obviously like a full
Are you upset that? I saw it on your feed, and I don't know.
Not in this.
No, I mean, no, I know the movie
Because
is like,
usually what
I saw one big dashes on here.
Oh, so I actually.
So realistic, so.
So I actually had,
It's sort of-
so on my sketchbook, I only found like because I really want to draw this. I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at drawing. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I just and sometimes I don't just.
Really? Like with the whale and everything?
I'm definitely ready at this.
I really want to draw.
No, I didn't like
Oh, that's great.
And then we're gonna give you a
No, I'll
really
try
nice
to
copy. Here we go.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. No, no, it's okay.
I don't think that's the case at all.
Son of a bitch.
It's so dumb. No, it's not.
Okay. Everybody, sorry about that. Okay. The last, not the last thing. The last part of this that I wanted to show you, and you know, I'm gonna have to sort of jump ahead a little bit. What I did is I went back and I redid a bunch of this. So I do have some pieces, but I'm not going to do all of them again. Okay. What we were doing was you know reasonably right. It just I lost the ability to move the shells for some reason. Okay. But now I have them again. So so I went back and like I said, I redid a bunch of them. And what I wanted to show you next is so these are all the pieces that I chipped off. You know, we saw all this. Here's the arms. Okay. We're gonna unfold the pieces. Unfold. Okay. Boom, boom. Edge. I got a bad edge here for some reason. Stitch that together. Oh, I think I cut it twice. Yeah, right there. So I'm just actually gonna stitch. I'm gonna stitch from. I did too big of a. There we go. Stitch together. I'm gonna grab that shell again and unfold it. Okay, so you know we were talking about the pieces and how you want to try and make sure that they're roughly, you know, proportionate with the amount of map that you want to use, and it's up to you. Once again, you can make it use a lot more. You can make it use less. You know, like I said, like you know the inside of the mouth. You know, there's nothing stopping you from making it teeny tiny and just saying, just coloring it pink and be done with it, right? Same with the inside of the eyes and everything. I'm gonna unfold these. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the two parts of the torso separate this time. I'm not gonna sew it together. But what I wanted to show you is, once you have all these things together, remember we need to be able to make it fit within your texture map area, in this instance, meaning from 0 to 1 here to there, okay? So you could, of course, sit here and scale and try and fit it together like a puzzle, and sometimes it is the better way to do it, because then you're controlling how they fit together. Okay, so back of the torso, front of the torso, and if you look at what they're doing here, you get some clues or whatever. But the cool thing is there's some things to help you just take care of this for you, which is pretty great. So if you come down to, I'm in the UV toolkit. I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff because there's a lot in here. Okay, your last one is arrange and layout, because it's like the last thing that you do, right? You know, you're not cutting them up. You know, if I went and did this whole guy and I'm all set and I'm all happy with, you know, with what I've got, now it's just time to pack it into a, you'll pack it into one texture so that you can move on and bring it into something else. So that's what pack and layout does, right? So easiest way to do it is just to select your select all your shells, hit layout, and it's going to figure out how to use them up in, you know, put them in the map. And you notice it put it, you know, stayed within the border. Sometimes it gets a little close. You might want to back it off. And they don't have them overlapping. I just did that. So if you painted here, you wouldn't overlap into this. Sometimes it's a little aggressive. It can be smart to just move them away from each other a little bit, just to give yourself a little breathing room. Okay, so you can either like shrink them down or whatever. All right. So, like I said, you know, it would handle all of them. So if I had an eyeball, you know, all that's whatever it might be, all these little pieces would all get packed in there, and it would use up the space. Like, you know, like if I did do that thing with the inside of the mouth, it would, like, you know, it might put it right here just to have it somewhere that, and that's what you see out of a good texture map or a good layout, which this person here did. You know, you can see like this is the eyeball right here. Okay. Oop. So like that's the eyeball, and it's actually fairly, you know, good size, you know, in map wise. But, you know, this would allow you to be able to get up close to it without it, you know, without sort of seeing the pixels of the map and things like that. So, you know, who knows what this part is, but it got packed in there. And like I said, you know, this is a really good usage of smashing all this stuff together. Okay. So, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole object, or, you know, this would, you know, to do this right, it'd probably take a couple of hours. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. But I think you see the basic concept of, you know, cutting things off, adding seams, sewing it together, and trying to sort of, you know, follow the clotheslines and think of where you want, you know, where's a nice place for a seam to exist in case you're going to get some weirdness. And like I said, you're not necessarily going to get some weirdness, you know, but just in case, the more seams, the less seams you have, and the more you hide them, the better. That's why people, you know, would sew these two pieces together along the side of the torso or whatever, right? So it all matters, and it's just how nuts you want to get with this, you know. So like I said, you saw the way that the legs were done, or the arms were done. The legs would just be the same kind of concept. And another easier way to do this, frankly, is just to grab it there, expand this out, right? Keep going. Okay. And I could get if I got the rest of this. You actually don't need to you know, make two pieces and then sew them together. I mean, frankly, the easier way is to come in here and even though it's a tube and selected, it's going to make some weird UVs. You'll see right here, it essentially, you know, it made that tube, right? Well, I can come in here after the fact and just add my own. Go like that. Cut and sew, cut right there, grab that shell and unfold it, and I pretty much get the same thing. So it's actually the easier way to go. It's just, you know, this way sort of makes you sort of think about it a little more. But, you know, so essentially I've got a seam on the inside, and, you know, I would have grabbed the rest of this down to the ankle and then handled the feet separately. You tear off the soles and then map it separately, splay this out, and then sew this seam so that you get a little wrapping around here. Okay, you know, that handles the body.
Andy,
yes, sir.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So when you just made that edge and you cut it, why didn't it cut all the way down into the foot, like where the edge broke?
Because there's technically the cut only works when UVs exist. So all this stuff that I haven't done yet, there's nothing to cut.
Oh,
that's that's the beauty of that and that method, is that you know, it's showing. It's like if I put this on here, you see everything in gray is not mapped yet.
Right.
So, you know, there's, like I said, there's nothing there to cut. So it's kind of a cheat, but it works kind of nice. Okay. Yeah. And it just is an easier way to, you know, select stuff, because you can just go like that. Oops. grab the whole damn. Just grab one loop. Actually, yeah, that's probably enough. Just grow out the selection. Grow out the selection until you want to stop. Maybe right there. Normal based. Now I have UVs on it, so there's something to cut. So I go edge, do it like an inseam. Now the thing is, you got to be careful. Okay, well that'd work. It's already cut there. Cut and shell. Find that leg. Unfold. There we go, like so. Okay, so but once again, you know, you see it's using up way too much of the map. So you'd scale that guy down and start getting, like I said, trying to get your checkers to be about the same space, probably everywhere except the head where you'd want a bunch of detail, so that you could do a shot like this, you know, and it would hold up and still look good, you know. So the other part of this too is, you know, if you do, you know, this is all just talking about this is just because this object is continuous, right? Like, you know, lots of times you would have a completely separate map and a you know, material for the head, and the map would take up the entire thing, like this other one that I had here. Where'd it go? The one that was a scan. There it is. You know, so this would be the whole map, and you would have a whole material for this, right? So, you know, it can take up, you know, it can use the whole thing. You know, you don't need to share it. So it's like, you know, you don't, like I said, this is only for this map, and this map is being used for this whole guy, right? So, but there's nothing saying you couldn't chop off this head, use it as a separate object, especially if it's wearing clothes, right? So that head would have its own material, have its own map, have, you know, its own everything, and it would be allowed to take up the whole thing. The only reason we're doing this is because this is one whole, this is one continuous object that we're trying to map in one pass, okay? Doesn't have to be that way, you know. These things are that way because, once again, this is probably for this is some kind of game character, right? So they're trying to get everything all into one thing. Actually, this is a perfect example in that I don't. Oh no, wait, the head's up there. Right. Sorry. So this is everything to make this guy. Somewhere there's probably boots. Like this is probably the tread of boots. So this is a decal pack, you know, a map pack for an entire character, right? Like I said, it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, you could map the eyeballs separately. There's nothing saying that, I mean, this guy doesn't have eyeballs, so you would map those separately. But, you know, like I said, you could chop the hand. The hands could have a ton of detail if they wanted to, and you're just mapping that and animating that separately. It's got its own material and everything. So, you know, don't feel that everything has to be included in one super map. In fact, you know, you probably don't necessarily want that always, because it can only be so big, you know, like, and it's going to start to get unruly, you know. So anyway, so what I've done here is, you know, we saw that we made a whole bunch of the pieces. Like I said, I'm not going to do the rest of them. And we talked about the layout, which packs them all. Oops, got to select them first. Oop. Select them first, layout. Now see, it just does its best to find a place to put everything, like I said, like a puzzle, right? And you can move them yourself, or you know, lots of times it's just kind of a suggestion, you know, like it's not a genius. It puts it where, you know, like lots of times you want to put things that are going to be near each other, you know, like these are the two arms, as you can see. Like if I select that and come out here, you know, those are my arms, so it's like I might as well put those side by side, just to save myself trouble. And these are the legs. One leg is way too big. And then you can also orient it the way that you want. Like I'm assuming that this is up. Let's see where it's at in the body. Yeah, so this is the top. It just makes it easier to paint it, you know. Okay. So if I did this whole thing and I put all this stuff into this one pack like this, if I export this or sent this over to ZBrush or Mudbox or any of those things, if I did all the pieces, you know, I'm just, like I said, I'm just skipping through all this stuff, it would be ready to paint, because now every piece of the object, you know, bear with me, like I said, if I did all this, would be ready to go. It all falls within, I'm just gonna move my arm down here, move my torso and through there. Okay. Okay, so like I said, you just basically play puzzle piece with it, and you just either you go with what Maya kicks out when you do layout, or you mess with it yourself, whatever you want to do. Okay, so now there's, like I said, this is ready to go. If I dump this into my box, I could paint right on it because it has UVs on the whole object or whatever, and you're pretty much ready to go. Okay, so the simplest, and I'll just show you why that is working. So if I go into image and I go to UV snapshot, I'll show you what we're going to get. I'm going to take PNG. I'm going to do 3600 by 3600. These are pixels. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, what do I want it? What do I want file format, and how big do I want this map, and where do I want to put it? I'm going to put it not there. Class 18, UV map, and no tiles, just take the one. I don't know if I need to select these first. Apply. So it's rendering that out, and we'll go take a look, see what we get. 19. And there we go. So you see, just like they, just like they produced over here, not that one. That one. This is what we produced. So now we know what's where. So if you wanted to paint this by, like if you had a very simple object and you wanted to paint this by hand, I could dump this into Photoshop, like so. Okay. So it's a wire. It's a transparent wireframe. So I put a solid color in there, black, and I put it behind. So all I got to do to, just really basically put some color in here is just start painting. Oh, tell you what. There we go. Okay, so that's the torso, blah, blah, blah. Wait. Torso, back, leg. Oh wait, is that an arm? That's an arm, I think. It's an arm. Yeah, I'm an arm, leg. Okay, so if I save that out, okay, and that's, once again, that's not the easiest way to do that, because we have nice tools that so you don't have to try and make this work. But just for argument's sake, oops, it's like I said, it's a way to figure out what's where. And I come back to Maya. Okay, close. Make a quick surface. Okay, and diffuse. And oops, where'd it go? File. So now that we have UVs, we can just specify our file. Class 18, UV map 2. So this is what we had there. And we drop it on this dude, turn on our textures, and jeez, okay, there we go. And there we go. I mean, that's that's round trip, and once again, it's ready to, oops. The ground plane. torso. So, you know, we've laid a map for ourselves. There's the leg, you know, that's the other leg, obviously, arm, and arm. So you see, you know, what we done is we went round trip from how to map it on the object to putting it on the object. And the great thing is by tearing it apart this way, you notice, you know, it's wrapped around, but it's not horribly distorted. Even though we're not using a 3D painting program, you know, we're getting things that are readable. They're not, you know, they're not all whacked out. That they're wrapped around, but they, you know, you can tell what's going on here. So even if you painted it this way, you'd get something reasonably decent. You know, you could, you know, heaven forbid, if you needed to paint a tattoo on the belly right here, you know where that's at because you have that in your map right here. It's right there. There we go. You know, that's all this. So, you know, if I, you know, if I needed a belly tattoo, then, you know, boom, there it is. Okay, so, you know, in simple objects, this is a great, you know, this is an easy way to do it. You know, but
uploaded if they're not pings.
Oh yeah, it can be anything you like. I mean, that's just what I chose. It's just it's just an easy. It's just a simple. You know, it's a decent interchange format because, you know, you have alpha channels and everything. Okay, so long story short is, you know, this is the way to sort of manually do all these things. Okay, now there's also another tool to help you out with this. That like I was telling you, it's in the bonus tools, right? And we haven't talked about the bonus tools much, but I thought we might as well because they're free. So these are things that people at Autodesk write, and sometimes they just, for some reason, they don't want to, you know, incorporate it in the software or something like that. Or I'm not entirely sure why bonus tools don't necessarily get put into the software all the time, because some of them are around for years and they do all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna delete all my UVs. I'm gonna turn off checker. So in those bonus tools, like I was saying, and they're out there on the network. If you've installed the educational version, it's right there. Maya bonus tools. You can also download them yourself or whatever. But there's a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the things they have that's actually pretty sweet is a thing called Auto Unwrap UV tool. Okay, and what that does is essentially allows you to ignore for a while some of the things that we were doing with Unwrap and all that and everything. And you remember how when we were right here, you know, the white, and we have all these seams, right? Let me turn that off. There we go. What it allows you to do is go in and just dictate where those seams are at, right? And then it'll do the rest, essentially, right? So the work is done in just saying where these seams lie, okay? Not all the selection jazz and everything. And it's not a perfect tool, but it can be a really good start. And, you know, some people like it a lot better, okay? So I'm going to, I guess we'll go with this. So like I said, so they're in those tools, and when you install it, you'll get this little guy right here called bonus tools. Install the bonus tools, reboot or restart Maya, and they'll be right here. And there's lots to play with, but all we're going to talk about today is this one tool. Okay, so I'm going to select my object, and I'm going to say Auto Unwrap UVs tool, right? So there's a bunch of stuff you can play with here, but the good thing is you can ignore most of it, and just go into the tool. Okay, so you see here, it brought up this little interface here. Okay, and what you're going to do is go through and choose. For some reason, it makes the interface a little boggy. Okay. Where you want all those borders to be using just the normal methods, right? So I'm going to select, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put my border. Okay, there we go. So to cut this off, I'm just doing the selection of these areas. Okay. Okay. Then you say add border, right? Boom. They did not. Sorry. Add border. It's a weird little inner. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is why I'm glad we did the other way. Ooh wee. Okay. That's not what I wanted. So it stopped itself. So let me start the tool up again. Wow. So the workflow here, when it works, and it worked at home pretty well. Go back. Oh, I can. Enter tool. Close. Check results in the UV editor. Yeah, it was really nice. Enter tool. Dear God. Tool is already active. Can't select on it or anything.
Done at the bottom.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh. There we go. Okay, enter tool. Okay. Select some edges. See, I'm not sure this is any faster than the normal method, honestly. This may work better on your machine. I really think something's wrong with this baby. So anyways, the workflow is you go through and remember all the white seams that we created by selecting areas. You just go in and mimic those, right? And add to border. Is it enter? Well, it worked at home. Tell you what, screw this. If I can get it to behave, we'll talk about it next time. This is already plenty, and that's enough. So anyway, like I said, the main thing to remember here is the difference between organic objects and trying and the sort of the ability to be able to kind of put them together any way you want, and the more rigid objects like wood and all that stuff where you want to keep nice straight lines and you don't want things to get all mushy and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the freedom of this, doing these kind of objects. You can put the map together any way you like and it's going to work. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. What do I say? Thanks very much. Thanks for listening. Okay, see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.